Hi there, and welcome to Kolkata. I'm currently transiting. I just arrived from Bangkok on Bhutan Airlines, and soon I'll be heading up to Kathmandu. It might seem like an unlikely stop on the way, but this being my Routes and Hub series, tracing the original kangaroo route, there was no way that I couldn't include one of the very original stops, Kolkata. Today I'll be flying Air India since, well, it's the only airline that flies non-stop from Kolkata to Kathmandu. Note that I took this flight prior to the two flights featured in my August videos. The airport where we are now is celebrating its 100th year in operation as an airfield this year. In 1924, they hosted their first commercial flight, a KLM flight making its way from Amsterdam to Jakarta. Note that this is the same flight that was also the first commercial flight to reach Bangkok. We think of how interconnected the world is these days, largely due to aviation, but it's hard to imagine that the beginnings of all of that can be traced back to just a few pioneers on a handful of planes. Before we get in deeper, let me welcome any of you that may be new to the channel. I'm Kevin, the Flip-Flop Traveler. If there's one thing that I'd like you to know about my videos, it's that my opinions are honest and my own. If you'd like to know more about the what, how, and why I do what I do, scan the QR code or click the link to learn more. Have a look around the channel. There are hundreds of airline and hotel reviews to enjoy. This Indian adventure begins now. Prior to the opening of the Kolkata Aerodrome, there were some other small airstrips, and that's how Kolkata was put on the map as one of the original stopovers on the North American and European to Australian flight services. The Smith brothers of Australia, the first team to ever fly from England to Australia in under 30 days, made their way across the subcontinent from Karachi to Delhi to here in Kolkata in 1919. Flying via Agra, they flew directly over the Taj Mahal, and by the time they got to Kolkata, it was safe to say they attracted quite a crowd. Everyone out to see their converted Vickers Vimy. I forget if I mentioned this in a prior video, but their aircraft registration number, GEAOU, stood for God Help All of Us. Checking in here for my flight was straightforward and quick, with staff outnumbering passengers by around 3 to 1. This is certainly not peak flight time here. Immigration and security was also just as easy, and I was airside in a matter of minutes. Kolkata became such a pivotal stop that they actually named an aircraft model after it. Well, kinda. The S-8 Kolkata, which the UK's Imperial Airways began flying to India in 1928. As we have a look around the terminal, I'll put up the expanded airport stats. I have many Air India videos which talk about their history, Tata Group, etc. in my India playlist. For today, I'm focusing on the hub history. The Smith brothers were by no means the only pioneers to pass through this city though. In 1937, Amelia Earhart landed here, to great fanfare, just 14 days before her disappearance. More or less at the same time, Imperial Airways was offering quite a plush traveling option down to Australia. Definitely not too plush in the air, but take a look at the hotels that they include in the ticket fare. The current Mandarin Oriental in Bangkok, Raffles in Singapore, and the current Lalit Grand Eastern Hotel here in Kolkata. A few days before my flight, I bid for an upgrade which was successful. With my business class ticket, I was given access to the Travel Club Lounge, which was mediocre at best. I chose my seat based on airflow since it was pretty hot, but much worse was sticky humid. It was also the first time I've ever been actually yelled at for filming in a lounge. Yelled at, mind you, while filming these water bottles, no less. They must be some pretty exclusive water bottles. If any Starbucks employees from 20 years ago were curious as to what they did with all the Verismos, well, apparently they came to Kolkata. The peak here began when the de Havilland Comet was introduced, the first passenger jet aircraft for commercial service. Within years, Kolkata was served by Airflot, Air France, Alitalia, Cathay, Japan Airlines, Philippine Airlines, KLM, Lufthansa, Pan Am, Qantas, Swiss, SAS, and more. You may have guessed, or just know, that laundry list of airlines no longer flies here. In fact, Kolkata really doesn't have many international aviation ties anymore, and it all comes down to one reason: the 747. You see, once these airlines had access to aircraft that could fly 5,000 miles, there was near instantly no reason to visit as many stops along the way. This is one of the critical reasons why it was so important that places like Bangkok had created tourism infrastructure before this time came. You can see pretty clearly that this is primarily a domestic airport now, with a dozen or so international destinations. For years we've been hearing that Indigo would make this their East Asian hub, but we've yet to see that come to fruition in any meaningful way. The terminal that we're in now, designed by RMJM, opened in 2013, and with a capacity of 25 million, gives them plenty of room for growth with their current 20 million passengers per year. But there's also a mega plan to nearly double the capacity of the airport anyway, because, why not? Information about timing and final end goals, though, aren't really all that clear at this point. And that brings us to our gate. Boarding was fairly well organized and began with business class and Star Alliance Gold passengers. Let's take a look at the flight stats as we head down the jet bridge. Laid out in 3 rows with a 2x2 configuration, this is the same product that I reviewed a couple of years ago from Delhi to Mumbai. But that was before any of the Tata effects took place. The cabin was notably very clean, and the seats are pretty stiff but are fine for such short flights. If you'd like to follow along on my Routes and Hubs journey from Brisbane to London but aren't free at the times that I post, bookmark the playlist linked above and in the description, so you're able to follow along whenever is best for you. There's also an introduction video in there that will explain the entire series. How's the video so far? Enjoying it? If you are, please go ahead and click that like button. Doing that and subscribing really are the best ways to support a channel at absolutely no cost to you. But there are of course some people that like to spend, and who am I to judge what makes you happy? So, I also have a Patreon and channel memberships for you to check out if you'd like to. Whatever you choose, thanks for being here right now, and if you have any constructive feedback, questions, or glowing reviews, as always, leave them in the comments. Hot towels and pre-departure drinks were passed around just before we pushed back and the manual safety briefing began. Now, you may be wondering why I'm going to Kathmandu at all, since it's never been a transit hub of any sort. Well, it had a lot to do with a flight that I posted about last year on Thai Airways. Posted 1 year ago, this week last year actually. Let's take a listen. And I noticed that we were flying over the Ganges River. I haven't been yet, but Varanasi has always been an incredibly interesting city to me, so I was trying to actually look for it out the window, when I noticed those pretty clouds out there. Except they are not clouds. Those are the Himalayas. Let me just say, I'm a complete geography nerd. I know where we are, but it just never occurred to me that you'd be able to see them from this far away. It really was one of the cooler moments that I've had in the air, and I actually arranged my travels for next year in such a way that will give me at least a few opportunities to hopefully see them more up close. Those opportunities I was talking about were these flights into and out of Kathmandu. Fingers crossed that it's clear. The spool up, takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. Amenities on this flight were pretty limited. Well, it's just a pillow. I am kinda happy for no gold pillowcase though. Maybe that means they're gonna get rid of them? Fingers crossed. Meal service began soon after takeoff. Here you can take a look at the menu on offer. I do appreciate having a paper menu on board, and in their app they have this beautiful new online menu that they show you before your flight. Problem is, it was completely wrong. Personally, not a fan of mutton, or red snapper, on planes at least, so I went with one of the vegetarian options. Rice and lentil porridge, tempered with clarified butter, served with cumin potatoes, a preparation of pointed gourd and pumpkin, green gram lentils with potatoes, and beans and raita. AKA, a little bit of everything. It was mostly pretty good, followed by kasar mas malai, a sort of pudding for dessert. Overall, I'd give the full meal a 7.4 out of 10. Now, onto the entertainment. Well, for this flight, that's just the mountain, since there is no in-flight entertainment. But clearly, that's what I was here for anyway. The mountains were in view even before I finished my meal, and the peak viewing on the flight was just after the midpoint. Once we started our descent into Kathmandu, the smog blocked the view more and more and more. But I still got plenty of really good shots and, well, views with my own eyes too. Sometimes I think we forget that we're actually supposed to look at it ourselves as well. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the peak just to the left of center is Mount Everest, with the peak of Lhotse immediately to its right but behind the clouds. The peak that appears larger to the right, I believe, is Makalu. And if I was wrong, and Everest wasn't anywhere in there, I ask you to please let me down gently. I will say that the views, while not of Everest, were much clearer and close up on my next flight. And so to continue this tradition, I suppose, next year I'm going to do my best to fly within the Himalayas, not just past them. I already know what videos are coming out in October of next year, so it won't come out then, but hopefully sometime. Not a great day for views closer to Kathmandu though. But once you're below the cloud layer, we could get marginally better views. I'll let you enjoy the landing. The airport stats are coming up.
Please take care while opening. Don't go at this, as loose items may have.
I'm still undecided if I'm gonna miss this logo or not. The off-white ivory body livery, I will definitely not miss that one, but I did kinda like the white one with the red outlines around the windows. Well, that would have been easier. And here we are in beautiful Kathmandu, my stop for 2 nights of R&R. So, I really do hope that you enjoyed this historic trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click the like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on my twice weekly videos. I'll see you next time from a hotel that I didn't even plan to film, but it was just too good not to show off. The Hyatt Regency here in Kathmandu. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching until the end.